I'm Daniela. I came all the way from Rio de Contas, which is in the Chapada Diamantina in Bahia, where I live at the moment, a place of huge biodiversity, where I chose to go and retire. Yes, when I was 18, yes, at the end of my 18th year, I was in the first year at university and doing biology. And I was quite indecisive about what I wanted to do because the subjects are all so wonderful. But we had a field trip with Professor Nanusa Luisa de Menezes, who is now in her 80s or 90s, for being discreet to say. And she took us to a place in Minas Gerais called Serra do Cipó. It's a vegetation of campo rupestre, which is what I studied and will study until the moment I die, because it's got so much biodiversity. I keep saying to my students, yeah, you need 2 or 3 more lives in order to understand just the basics about that environment. So that's how I just flipped completely. I went back from this trip and went to the taxonomy lab in University of São Paulo and asked for a estágio. I don't remember how you say, like it's a scholarship, or it wasn't paid at that stage, but I wanted to work with plant diversity and I wanted to know all about plants, and from then onwards it has been non-stop. There are many, but I think one of the most challenging and most interesting things that I've done was work in herbaria all of my life. I worked in plant collections. And when I went to live in Kew for personal reasons, I moved to England, and I noticed that every botanist had to go in a sort of pilgrimage, looking herbarium by herbarium, what plants are here, are those types included here, are they not? And one of the things I did was to start digitizing, making those things available first in just raw databases, and then with illustrations, with photographs of the types, and then eventually with images of the types. So that was a digitization project that was meant to help everybody around the world to have access to everything that is in those collections, because it was very inaccessible, very difficult. And I think that's, I mean, it's not my top research, it's not my top marks of anything, but it's what is really what made me passionate, and because it's also useful for others. Because all this thing of the career is very like, oh, me, and a bit on me, but this was very everybody. It was good. Yes, unfortunately, any researcher in Brazil is going to come sit here and say, yes, we are seeing those environments being lost in front of our eyes. In Brazil, it's not so much noticeable about climate change, but it's much more about habitat destruction, wholesale, large-scale habitat destruction. So you're going to study one point of the map in the Cerrado, and the next time you go, the Cerrado in that place is gone because it became a monoculture. So we're exporting our resources in the form of grain. That is a way to pack up water. So the availability of water in places like Brazil, it rains a lot, and in the Cerrado it rains a lot. So those grains of soybean that are being sent to other countries, they are a fancy way to package water. And we are losing our water. And for our plants, it's very difficult, for our rivers and for people's health and for plant ecosystems. It's all very difficult to do without the amount of water that was there before. So it's quite worrying, yes. Bad picture. I think we say in Portuguese that hope is the last thing that dies. Esperança é a última que morre, because hope is life and we are alive. So we're working in education. At the moment, I said I'm semi-retired. I like to help at school and not lecture, but get together with the children and go to this campo rupestre that's just around the corner where I live, and explain to them all those things to make them more conscious of the situation. So that's my way to to not despair. Yes, it's being always present, because when I was a young student, like I was explaining, that publication Taxon was where we aim to be as scientists, and it's an excellent level journal where we can publish our research. So the importance of the journal, in that time it was a hard copy on a shelf, so we'll go, you know, bi-monthly when it came out, oh, go and see, open your Taxon, see what's new there, and want to be there with our research. It's also a society that aggregates botanists from all over the world and creates this wonderful venue that is the International Congress. It also safeguards the names and naming of plants in its nomenclatural section. So it's got so many important items that I cannot describe. IAPT is very important to be in and to contribute as much as we can. Well, it's changing like everything is changing, isn't it? I don't think we have a shortage of change. The problem is that the importance that's given to science, to the voice of scientists in the world at the moment, is a bit obscured by the importance of all the other things that are shouting at people and saying, take me, sell me, buy me, and we are a bit like shy about that. But if we become also a company of shouters and sell me things, it's not very much our scene. I think IAPT is doing very well, because I see people from all nationalities, and I think that's an opportunity created by IAPT. And I see a lot of people from emerging countries and places where we wouldn't see, and we have them as keynote speakers as well. I think that's very good. Well, do not despair, because and the thing is to keep up the passion and not allow yourself to become too number crunching or something like that. And to think that is a unique opportunity to study living plants, and if you can take opportunities to go to the field as much as you can, it's very important, because field work, I think, is what fires you up, and is also a moment when you actually get in touch not only with nature, but also with the people who live close to nature. And I think you can take a lot of messages from doing that seriously and being very open to talking to everybody you meet when you're in the field.